Well, if they can't manage it, God help them.
He put me on some of his accounts, and the first thing he said is, "This is my money." I love that idea.
Everybody have degree, all of us have.
I say, boy, if you're not going to put out, I'm going to fire. You never stop learning until the day that you die. And that is something that I'm using for myself, that just constantly trying to learn and become better each and every day.
Because we know you're not turning me a grandfather.
Maybe him don't know.
Oh gosh! The Father's Day edition of The Cut is brought to you by NCB.
Thanks so much for joining us for CVM News Afternoon for Thursday, June 12, 2025. I'm Curlin Brown. In the year of His Majesty King Charles III's 77th birthday celebrations, the British High Commissioner to Jamaica, Her Excellency Judith Slater, is highlighting the Jamaica-UK partnerships which she looks forward to continuing. Here's more from Adrian Williams.
British High Commissioner to Jamaica, Her Excellency Judith Slater, in her final leg of leadership in the post, hosted a reception to commemorate the birthday of His Majesty King Charles III. The High Commissioner highlighted the importance of continued partnership between Jamaica and the UK in developing the island through various programs.
We also have UK firms LAUDS and Accra helping Jamaica with its Accelerated Bridges programme to replace 55 bridges across the island, some damaged by last year's Hurricane Beryl, some by climate change. Both these projects will be underwritten by UK Export Credit Agency, UK Export Finance.
Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck highlighted the joint efforts shared with the UK targeting the nation's most vulnerable youth and communities through the Violence Prevention Partnership Programme.
The programme, launched in 2024, will provide £15 million over 6 years to fund grassroots community activities and engagement with educational institutions aimed at eradicating violence among our next generation.
And Slater gave a hint as to who her successor will be.
As some of you may know, this will be my last King's Birthday party as my tour of duty comes to an end in September. There'll be an announcement next week about my successor, but suffice it to say, I think she's going to be a big success.
Adrian Williams for CVM News.
Keeping hope alive is how many medical warriors survive and thrive after a cancer diagnosis. Their stories of triumph continue to burn bright, but they are more than just stories, as you'll see. They are testimonies powered by faith, family, and the will to fight. Here's more from Neika Lewis.
The race of life is often described as a hurdle with literal and figurative obstacles. And one's health could be seen as a major hurdle, especially when compromised. The 2025 Relay for Life event is testament of what can happen when a group of survivors of a similar challenge, this being cancer, share stories of overcoming. Teresa Parks has been a self-professed breast cancer thriver since 2013.
I didn't feel any pain. The worst part of it was the chemo. Yeah, that's the worst part of it, the chemo. But when you're doing the chemo, you just have to feed your body, drink a lot of green juice, and have a lot of thin stuff, right? And feed your body. You have to feed your body when you're taking the chemo. But other than that, it was good.
I was diagnosed at the age of 30 with stage 2 estrogen positive breast cancer. I did multiple surgeries such as hysterectomy, oophorectomy, nipple-sparing mastectomy, reconstructive surgeries. And 2 months ago, I did another mastectomy with reconstruction and also an implant change. It's a journey. I did chemotherapy and radiotherapy. I stand here today as a beacon of hope to my fighting sisters and brothers that there is life after cancer and early detection saves lives.
I had to remove, there was a lot of concentration of cancer cells around my tummy, and I had to remove all of that. I'm just giving God thanks to be alive, to be standing on top of my grave. I'm just giving God thanks and celebrating life.
And in the midst of the female survivors, a male who fought hard in a marriage redefined by not just his battle, but that of his wife, who beat 3 cancers over 41 years.
Well, as you see on my arm here, there is a scar. That's where the cancer was. It was myxofibrosarcoma, a very aggressive cancer that grew 25% in about 3 weeks. I had no symptoms. It was just tough under the muscle. It wasn't even bulging. And then when I felt the toughness, I had no pain, nothing at all. You know, my wife was doing a pelvic ultrasound, and we decided we're going to check on it at that time.
Theirs is a story to tell to thousands more battling the illness or those who remain after losing a loved one to the medical beast. The Jamaica Cancer Society finds it necessary to raise funds to help others fight and fought for the event after a hiatus.
Relay for Life is an international event that began with the American Cancer Society and has been adopted by many other cancer societies across the world. And the Jamaica Cancer Society is one of those adopting agencies. We're proud today to stand here for an execution of Relay for Life after having a 2-year hiatus. We're here only because of the kind donations and sponsorships we have received to enable this event.
And the story now of a man who was shot dead and his mother was left battling for life at the time in hospital following an incident in Lancers Bay, Hanover earlier this week. Neika also has that story.
It was a fatal home invasion. The victim, Kojo Jackson, and his mother were in what they considered the safety of their home at approximately 9:40 p.m. when they heard a knock at the door. Upon checking, they came face to face with masked gunmen armed with rifles who opened fire immediately, hitting both mother and son before fleeing on foot. Residents alerted by the rapid gunfire summoned the authorities. The Lucy police arrived to find both victims lying in pools of blood with multiple gunshot wounds. Jackson was pronounced dead at the Noel Holmes Hospital, while his mother was admitted in critical condition. Law enforcement officials have yet to determine a motive for the attack, but patrols have intensified across the division in an urgent attempt to locate those responsible. The recent tragedy adds to the crime and violence in the parish, raising concerns over security and community safety. Authorities urge residents with any information to assist investigators in bringing the perpetrators to justice. The community mourns the loss of Jackson, whose life they say was cut short in an act of senseless violence. Meanwhile, his mother fights for survival as family members and friends pray for her recovery.
Now speaking on CVM's lead story, PNP aspirant for Southwest St. Catherine, Dr. Kurt Wall, acknowledged Dennis Chung's competence but criticized him as being biased. This follows Wednesday's protest by the opposition People's National Party, the PNP, in Old Harbour Square, St. Catherine, to express dissatisfaction with the appointment of Chung as Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division, the FID.
I have no doubt that Dennis Chung may be an excellent accountant, right? But I do not know where his investigative abilities come from, you understand? And furthermore, I know that you are an avid footballer, but I think you like racehorse more.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
you know this, yes.
Yeah, just imagine if you were a bookie and, you know, there was a horse and he had a odds of winning of 100 to 1, and that horse went on to win the race, and somebody bet a lot of money on that horse. And you as a bookie, you would be thinking, you know, this horse probably won a lot of money, and you wanted to know whether or not, you know, this horse should really benefit from the money and the payout. And you'd be thinking that, yes, the horse should be tested, right, by someone. That person who is doing the test may be very competent in doing the test. But if you heard that the person who was going to pull blood from that horse to test it was the friend of the trainer of the horse, you'd be very apprehensive. You know, you'd raise a lot of questions.
I see what you mean.
Right. So that's it really. We have no doubt that Dennis may be a good accountant, but we have two issues. The issue is that he's biased, right, because he has basically litigated the Prime Minister's case.
On the back of one opinion, though, Dr. Wall?
Well, he said...
As a public commentator, it wasn't as if he made a post on Twitter. It wasn't as if he put something on his Instagram.
Well, I'm
he was asked a direct question.
They asked him that, but I'm certain if they asked him more questions, he may have to continue on the same path.
Reading is... Actually, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Every day starts with care. Care that's always close. Supermed Family of Pharmacies is where you go for everything you need. From your morning routine to life's biggest moments. Supermed Family of Pharmacies is always by your side. Whether it's prescriptions or household essentials, trust the care that's close to home. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed.
What would you do if a date asked you how much you weigh?
Leave, slap him, cuss him.
It was going so well until...
Ask him how much his mama weighs.
Oh, we talking about weight, huh? Well, how much your mama weigh?
All new Family Feud.
You ain't got to worry about how much I weigh. You won't be feeling nothing over here.
Welcome back. Reading is crucial for students as it enhances their overall academic success and personal development. However, for Pembroke Hall High, reportedly, more than 70% of grade 7 students are unable to read at the national standard set for their grade level. According to senior communications strategist for the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Dennis Brooks, more involvement is needed from the nation's parents to tackle illiteracy among their children from a tender age.
But the truth is that we have an education system that for many people, they are not going to the quote-unquote traditional high schools. They are going to reach grade 6 and they're going to be assigned an institution. And they're not going to quote unquote pass the exam, but they'll go to this institution. Again, the teaching learning process relies on the teachers and administration of the school. It relies on the students, it relies on the parents and the organized parents in the PTA, but it also a strong past students association and the wider community that supports the school.
We'll take another break. We'll be right back.
The time is brought to you by Ford Territory.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes. Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Hey everybody, I'm Yendi and this is Odyssey with Yendi. In this space, we connect with some of your favorite people as they share their journeys. Here we have some unfiltered conversations as we deep dive into their inspirations, motivations, and experiences to inspire our own life journey.
The time is brought to you by Ford Territory.
Welcome back. In a bid to continue work in protecting coral reefs around the island, one company is opening up the efforts to the public. Now, Managing Director and Coral Reef Specialist Jonathan Hernold joins us to explain how this project will be carried out. Good afternoon and thanks so much for joining us, sir. Did I get it? Is it Hernold?
That's correct, yeah.
Great. Tell us about this latest project that you have going on to aid in protecting our coral reefs.
So, Reef Construction Limited is an ecosystem restoration company. So we focus mainly on coral reefs, and we have the Port Royal Keys Coral Restoration Project that's been operating since since the summer of 2023, with the aim of increasing live coral coverage in the islands outside of Kingston Harbour.
What are the perceived challenges, if any, right now?
Excuse me, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Are there
clearly.
any challenges that you're encountering at this point? Any challenges? Are you hearing me?
Sorry, I'm not hearing you.
Okay, let's try this one more time. Are you experiencing any challenges with the project? I realize you're extending it to include the public.
That is correct. So currently the major issue facing corals is rising ocean temperatures. In 2023 and 2024, we had the worst coral bleaching events in history, which killed up to 80% of specific coral species that are extremely important to the Jamaican marine ecosystem. And so this project focuses on those corals. And currently the project is being funded by a grant from the National Conservation Trust Fund of Jamaica. But grant funding is time-based and limited. And so we are always looking for public partnership and private partnership to help bolster the efforts that we have going on.
Any specific reason, the area that you have targeted, why that particular area?
Well, the Port Royal Keys are extremely important to the Kingston area and the protection of Palisados and that marine ecosystem. But also, I was born and raised in Kingston, and these islands are what I call home, and where my passion for the environment